Well, hey there, blokes. It's a beautiful rainy day out here at Goldeye. Just outside enjoying some time, relaxing after catching that bloke last night. Whew, that was exciting. I'll tell you, that member could sure run, and boy, I had to hit him a few times to get him down, but we managed to. Whew, it's always a great time catching members of cooperatives. I tell you, it's been a great adventure. This trip has been highly successful. We managed to see ourselves a co-op store. We managed to see ourselves a Rocky Mountain Credit Union, as well as the Cooperative Insurance, and we drove by the UFA there. We saw a few members there, but those blokes were quite big. I wasn't about to tackle them by myself. I'm crazy, but I ain't that crazy. But anyways, I'm not sure if you know, cooperatives, they've been around for quite some time. As a matter of fact, one of the very first ones probably was right around the Rossdale town in England. Rossdale's located in England, and there's a town there, about 25,000 people. They started a cooperative back in it was about the 1840s. They started having problems. They were doing the textile industry as well as flannel, so these people knew their stuff. Highly educated people in that industry made some great textiles as well as some flannel. But what happened is, as things started to become industrialized, the people started finding it harder and harder to compete with these new industries that had machinery to do the work that a man used to do. So the machines were able to do more than what the men could do. And this created a problem for the people of the town, because they started to be delved into poverty. Because the machines could produce the products far faster and make just as good of a quality product than a worker could by hand. So what ended up happening is, these people, they decided, well, you know what, this isn't working. How are we going to do this? So what they did was, in 1844, they decided to start the Rossdale, what's it called? I got it written down here. They called it the Rossdale Society of Equitable Pioneers. And they called it that because they were pioneering a new concept, really, is what they were doing. They're forming a cooperative. Now what happened is, there was 28 members of this society, and each of them were required to pay $1. Whew, $1. Now that's that's $1 back. Well, in England they would be paying £1. Here in Canada that would be equal to about $2.50. Crikey, just to get a membership. Now these people didn't have a lot of money, so $2.50 was a lot. I mean, nowadays we blow $2.50 on a bag of chips and a pop, and some of us blow it on energy drinks, because we like to be a little crazy. I like those energy drinks too myself, but crikey, $2.50. Whew, that's for a membership. Now there was 28 members, and they actually rented the lower floor of a warehouse to start it. And after the repairs and things like that, they rented the warehouse for $25 a year. Crikey, $25 to rent a warehouse for a whole year? Downtown Calgary, man, I don't even think that would buy you a square inch. $25 for the whole warehouse. So they did some repairs, and after it was all said and done, they were left with £15 to start their cooperative. So what I got a list here of some of the things they bought. What the society bought with their £15 was, let's see, they purchased themselves 28 pounds of butter, 56 pounds of sugar, 600 weight of flour, a sack of oatmeal, and some candles. So that's how they started the shop. So basically what they did was, they created a whole new business. They started a shop, kind of like a general store, instead of doing their textiles and their flannels like they used to do before the machines came. It's almost like beginning of Terminator, or the machines taking over. Crikey! So anyways, they're excuse me. So they officially opened on the longest evening of the year. The longest evening everyone knows is December 21st, 1844 is when they officially opened. Now there's many other cooperatives just like them. A lot of cooperatives are actually formed due to poverty. There's a lot of poverty in the world, and it's very hard for people to do things on their own. So a lot of people will start a cooperative. Now, for example, I was in Peru hunting some members down there and trying to find out what kind of cooperatives they have in Peru. I happened to come across a pineapple farm. Now this farm only had about 20-30 plants. Now the thing with a pineapple, I don't know you know, one plant actually only produces 2 fruits, and it takes a whole year before the pineapples grow. So that's a lot of work. One plant only producing 2 pineapples, and this guy had 20, I believe it was 28 of them. 28 pineapples. So he had to wait a whole year before he had them. Now what happened is another company came in and bought thousands of acres. They bought up a lot of land and they planted pineapples. So the local people couldn't compete with this large company with their pineapples. And they were selling these pineapples to the marketplace and the grocery stores and shipping them all over around the world. So they couldn't compete with this because they had too much acres, whereas the local people only had a small portion of land. And then what happened was they decided, well, let's bring our pineapples all together. Now, you can try and compete and sell your pineapples at the marketplace, but because you have less pineapples and your costs might be more because you don't have as much, you wouldn't be able to compete. So what they did was they actually created a whole new product. They brought them into a central sorting station, they sorted them out, chopped them up, and they did some dehydration, sweetened them up a little bit, and they basically made a pineapple candy in their own little wrappers and bagged them up, and they sold a whole new product. So they weren't competing with the big company that had all the acreages and all the pineapples. They actually created a new product out of that existing pineapples that they had. It's a brilliant idea, and oh, they're tasty little candies, I tell you. Now, a lot of cooperatives are for making money and are for profits so people can survive, but there's a lot of cooperatives that you can do that aren't for money. For example, my wife had a co-op kitchen, and well, she did that for some of the single parents in our church. Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes I find it hard to make a meal for myself after a long day of work hunting members of cooperatives. But I'll tell you, these ladies, they got some of them 2 and 3 kids, and they're working all day long, and they're trying to come home and make a meal. Well, a lot of times they end up going to McDonald's or Burger King, and that stuff's just crap, I'll tell you. Every once in a while, I don't mind myself a Big Mac, but boy, it's not very good for you. It slows you down when you're hunting those blokes. But anyhow, my wife went and made a grocery list. She went out and bought all the groceries all at once. Pardon me. And because she was buying big bulks, she got it for a lot less. Now what happened is these people would come and they're part of the co-op kitchen, and what they would do is they would pay $6 for each member of the family. Crikey, that's a good deal. Now what does $6 get you? Well, $6 get you 4 meals. So if one of the parents has 3 kids plus themselves, that's $24. And that $24 bought them 4 meals times 4. So that's a pretty good deal for $24. You feed your whole family for 4 nights. Crikey, that's a great idea. You see, there's a lot to be said for working together. And when people work together, a lot can be done. I heard a story once that a Clydesdale can pull about 2,000 pounds worth of weight by themselves. But you hook 2 Clydesdales up and they'll haul over 7,000 pounds. And that just doesn't add up. You'd think if you added 2 of them together, they'd only be able to pull 4,000 because only one can pull 2,000. But I tell you, teamwork, it makes things work a lot better. So there's a lot of reasons to form a cooperative. A lot of people do it for survival because big companies come in and they can't compete with them. But there's a lot of reasons to do it because it's just a lot easier. And you can get a whole bunch done when you're working together. Alright, mates, I'm off. I'm going to be hunting some more things. I hope to see you soon next time. And good night.